bumping away, streaming for all to see. Cachorro, Cachorro. Your dog superheroes is today for you and me. Cachorro,
What's up, Cachorroites? Time for the next X-Men 97 video. Fantastic first part of the three-part finale. Finale? Tolerance is Extinction. This was great. It had some great, first off, cameos. Tons and tons of cameos in this. Great story beats here. Surprised me a little bit with where it went. So does mean that we probably have a doozy of a second episode to come here, based on this one. But very solid, very good character work with them. Again, we get some key moments for some characters. I'll go. Let's get the rating out of the way here. Within what? It's been 1 minute. I'm already gonna give my rating so we can get into the spoilers, I guess. Let's see if there's anything else spoiler free. Great cameos, great story beats, great storytelling, great drama, great, holy shit, flipping the world upside down on you. And for the first, so knowing it's a three-parter, you have an anticipation how they're going to go. And like I said, this one didn't end the way I expected it to. So, like I said, that means we're definitely going to have a doozy of an episode next. Because, yeah. I'm giving it an 8. Straight up 8. Gotta go, because I know the next ones are probably going to be... I just feel like the next ones are going to be... I have the anticipation that they will be a 9, possibly 10s coming our way. Just because the story's got to ramp up. It's going to ramp up. Because... we know this is what this guy does. It ramps up. So, giving this opening act an 8. Whew. Sorry, it's been a long day. I just watched the 2 back-to-back episodes. Watched it twice back-to-back. After going to a movie, saw another movie earlier. That movie's on my channel as well. Alright, so in the opening credits, the only real significant stuff is they redid some of the classic shots from the original opening. Cyclops shooting the robots and Storm zapping them. We do get Magneto in front of Asteroid M. They may have used that before. I know they've done some with Asteroid M. I think they used it, took it out, and then now they re-added it. So yeah. So that's that. So we open up, Cable's taking target practice, just, the old cowboy style, shooting some bottles on a ledge. And then we got Cyclops watching from a window, and Jean comes in and talks to him, like, have you guys talked? And he's like, yeah, he's kind of avoids me. I'm a horrible father. And we find out that in the time stream, they got separated, and Cable went even further into the future. And was pretty much on his own. And this guy just, saying he sent him in the future for a better one, and failed as dealing with his trauma as a failed father. So we have some parenting issues coming up there. Then we cut to a war room scene where Cable's kind of laying out what the guy character to let him know that the guy they're looking for is named Bastion, and they don't know much about him. Talks about how he created the Prime Sentinels, and the Genosha attack got the funding for the Prime Sentinel program. And then he said they bring up the joke about the dystopian future, and Cable's no, it's a utopia, because he replaced everybody with the Prime Sentinels, and they have any mutants that are left alive are pretty much forced to do the manual labor and do everything. And in this we see Some of the guys we've seen from the future before with metal arms. I know they've been in the Bishop episode. I can't remember who they were. We do see an older Polaris being forced to do some magnetic stuff over the planet, as well as Rachel Summers, as well doing some work, telekinetic work in San Francisco. What is it about her in the show, really? So it's pretty much saying that mutants they're kind of just wiped out, and the remaining mutants were forced into slave labor. It's kind of similar to, I guess, what Bishop's timeline was, but further along. And Cable wants to go out and take him down. He's ready to go stop him and get revenge for his mother. Cyclops like, dude, we gotta plan this out a little better. We can't just rush in here. And they're kind of like arguing back and forth, and Jean has to break him up because Bastion has released the Shi'ar footage that he got his hands on because some reason there was a satellite that picked up the Shi'ar broadcast of Xavier being named their leader. They're burying Lilandra, and how the X-Men didn't get this, how they got this broadcast, but the X-Men didn't. Okay, whatever. But so it's getting broadcast showing that the X-Men faked Xavier's death, and that starts people talking about Xavier lead an alien invasion on the Earth, and I think that comes up in a scene a little bit later. So Bastion's kind of like trying to destroy the mutants. Like, look, they faked it. They faked his death so they could get sympathy. So yeah, that's where we go right to a scene of Roberto's home with Jubilee and Roberto, and that's where they're talking about the alien armor, and that was Stryker. That was on the there was a cameo by Stryker being interviewed in the background on the computer TV. And the mom's doing this fundraiser to raise money for Genosha because the X-Men have let everyone down, and Jubilee's like, hey, we kept it a secret to keep people from going after him. Where she gets like, no, just a couple bad seeds and you just take it, and well, I don't think it was that big or they're hard. Yeah, because everyone's done. They went there to heal technically. But so she's kind of like take shots, so they take off to go to the mall to go shopping. And we see Rogue is still unconscious. Jean's taking care of her, and Nightcrawler comes in, and they have this big heart-to-heart moment, and Nightcrawler just kind of mentions the stuff that her and Madeline are very similar, and kind of the heart-to-heart how she wishes she would have, how the memories, how they feel like they're her memories, how she wishes she would have tried to bond more with Madeline, and that she don't know what memories are whose because she can remember everything Madeline remembers. She remembers the baby kicking, the baby born, and stuff like that. So Nightcrawler gives a speech about how Mystique dropped him off as a baby, but him and Rogue came together and they bonded over everything. And they can't. So nice little Nightcrawler, what he's good for, the heart-to-heart moments to help characters along. Then we get the reveal that Val Cooper is alive, and she's wearing a Bastion suit. That little bee. I'm trying to keep it PG-13. So she kind of walks in on Sinister's like, oh, you're the evil scientist behind the deal. Drops a Nazi scientist, which Sinister's like, hey, I knew him. He had a great potential, but he became a Nazi puppet. Sure enough, Sinister's really old. We get Sinister's reveal is that, hey, I'm just going along with this because he gives me mutant test subjects, and that's my dream, to play with mutants. So we found out what Sinister's role in all this is. I don't know if I would trust him all the way. Also, that's where we lead that they have Magneto pretty much chained up to an X, of course. Crucified, or I guess not really crucified, but he's just hanging on an X, which is, I'm pretty sure that's a famous X-Men cover. Is it Magneto that's on? I think it's a cover with Magneto, actually, if I think about it. It kind of was to symbolize that as well. And Val was like, I didn't know about Genosha. And she's like begging Magneto like to yell at her or something like that. And he just opens his eyes and looks at her and doesn't say a word. So she is showing that she has guilt. Then Trish Tilby shows up to meet up with Beast. And she's trying to like get in on his good side and kind of trying to learn about the Prime Sentinels. And Beast is doing a Cerebro-like scan to try and see if he can detect how many of them are out there because they don't know who they are and all that stuff. Meanwhile, the X-Men also take off. Cyclops, Jean, and Cable take off to go to a location that Cable had a rebel from the future gave him. So when we get that, they go to what they thought was Bastion's lair is Bastion's family home with his mom in there, and they go in and they're checking out and seeing that Bastion grew up as a kid and try to say, what in the world? What the hell? What is this? So Jean starts to remember, telepathically link into objects to find out he was born, he grew up, and then his power was, he had this ability where he could hear machines. Then she also sees that some parts of Nimrod, which I assume from the One Man's Worth episodes, fused in with the boy's father, who was a janitor at the school, and then blended it with the father and was able to knock up the mother and so he's a Sentinel that was born from Nimrod's DNA. It's timey-wimey. But showing that he was born and he has this dream. And so then we go back to Bastion, who's having a big meetup, and here's where we get out a lot of good cameos. So he's talking about some of his plans, and we see Doctor Doom gives a little speech, does a little, is in on this plan. Baron Zemo's in on the plan. Then we have a mystery woman who seems to be where Val's from. To my knowledge, Val was, I believe, Freedom Force, Zor. I think she made some stuff with Zor Sword, maybe, too. But there's a mystery woman that wants wants Sebastian to give, pretty much give Val a rundown. And the whole time they're saying stuff, he always has these little witty comeback kind of thing. So it's like, he's just really, what is a good way to describe Bastion? I can't think of a good example of. There's one of those villains that always has like a little, whatever, sure, I'll give you a tour. I'll give her a tour then, I guess. Kind of always just pretty cool, play it by ear, plays it pretty cool. So he takes her on a tour of Operation Zero Tolerance, showing how they're converting humans. That's where she's realizing that it is humans that are being turned into Prime Sentinels. And then he says how they find them. It's like, well, all this trash caused all this mutant love when he took out Xavier. So he caused Genosha to do this mutant overload. And they find people who are like scared. They're mutant haters that don't want to talk openly, that are doing the secret chat rooms. This is super political, right? The way this is super very. So I was like, that's what's good about the X-Men, because they can take shots at the political stuff, and you can't bitch about it because it makes sense in their universe. So this is like talking about not afraid they can't speak openly. They're afraid about getting retaliated, so they go to hidden chat rooms and stuff like that to talk, and then they signed up for stuff. Very MAGA. Sorry about that. It is what it is. But so he's taking them. They're signing up for it. He kind of doesn't tell them exactly what's going to happen to them. Does the transformation to them, and then they wake back up, not even knowing what happened, just to be ready to be activated. As he said, maybe a mutant hits on one at a dive bar and it just turns them and they activate. So Val's kind of freaked out that he's weaponizing humans. He kind of makes like, how you just sound like a dinosaur fretting to the asteroid. She's like, no, you're the asteroid. So she's getting a little spooked about things. So then we get the. So that's when they're searching around in Bastion's shadow room, and the old elderly mom comes in and says, "Here, this is what he drew when he was 16." It puts it down. It's the multi-headed sentinel and mutants and flames everywhere, and saying that yes, he's always had this dream, and therefore everybody's freaking out. And all of a sudden, you hear the mom change into a prime sentinel. And then we see Roberto and Jubilee in the mall, and their butler that was tailing with them turns into a Prime Sentinel. And then other people start turning Prime Sentinel all over the world. And right when Beast's globe's going red with all of them activating, he's like, "Oh my god, I gotta warn the team!" All of a sudden, Trish Tilby is a Prime Sentinel. So it starts a big war in the mansion, and get the line from Wars like, "Yeah, I gotta talk to Hank about his girlfriends." So they start. So we got a fight there. We got fight going on in Bastion's home where Cyclops and them. So they get the whole town comes alive as Prime Sentinel. So they're escaping onto the X jet to take off and get out of there. Jubilee and Roberto are running through the room. We got a lot of X-Men. The X-Men are getting beat up by Prime Sentinels. There's a protest. People protesting the expansion outside. Starting with them start turning into Prime Sentinels and going in for the attack. So all hell is breaking loose. So, but this does. Oh, I forgot to even do this. Oops. Whoopsie. I forgot to. So, like I said, it opens with Cable, blah, 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 blah. And as the Sinister gives his reveal, the Doom reveal. Forgot to show my pictures. There was the changing them into Prime Sentinels. All right. My bad. Forgot to show you the pictures. All right. So, we get to is the Wolverine and Nightcrawler scene. So they're all so Sentinels are so Wolverine first they get their asses handed to them, and then Wolverine comes out with they're burning down the mansion. Wolverine shows up, and then Trish takes him and starts flying up in the air. He breaks free, and we got the scene of Wolverine falling and slashing and cutting Prime Sentinels in half. For one of them grabs him and tackles him back into the X-Mansion again. Then we see a bunch of Prime Sentinels surrounding Rogue's unconscious body, getting ready to take her out. Wolverine shows up again to get ready to fight again. Nightcrawler bamfs in. He's holding a sword in each hand. He's got a sword on his tail. And they just have this badass fight scene with these two going back and forth fighting all these Prime Sentinels who can heal themselves. Trying to say to the point where Nightcrawler's like, "I gotta get him away from Rogue." So he starts bamfing them out because they don't die. They just keep regenerating, putting themselves back together. So he starts bamfing them all out to the roof so they're away from Rogue, and then they notice they're surrounded by them all over the place. We get the Blackbird gets taken out by some of them that fly into the jet, so it's a nice little spot where Cyclops, I'm not doing this again. Everybody to the back. Jean starts bossing. There's a scene where Jean bosses Cable around. He goes, "Stop bossing me." It was kind of like a teenage kid with his mom, It's like, "Stop bossing me." And Jean's like, "Hank's gonna be mad at you. This is your third destroyed Blackboard in 3 months." So they're going down. They get into a car, and as it blows up, they shoot out of a car. And Cyclops has a Porsche now, baby. Finally getting him back for the crap car that they gave him in the original cartoon that Wolverine made a convertible. So it's like Cable's like, "You have a Porsche?" And Cyclops like, "Yeah, baby, I got a Porsche. I'm Scott Summers. I got me a Porsche." So nice little landing. So they're taking off, and they got the Prime Sentinels are chasing them all over the place, and they go into like a cave and stuff like that. So all right, well, it's like they're boxing us in, and Cable's like, "Well, if you can't go backwards, the only thing to do is to go forwards." He blows the top off the Porsche, and the Cyclops is like, "Yeah, it's time we teach them what you don't mess with the Summers." So Jean takes over the cars. Cable's shooting the Sentinels flying in the back, and Scott's using his optic blast to pave a way through the mountain. Awesome scene. And they bust through the mountain, and Jean teleconnects them out. Well, Scott loses his Porsche. Sorry, Scott. Man, you had a Porsche, but lost it. So they're there, and they're surrounded by all the Prime Sentinels. They have them pinned down. And obviously the X-Men are surrounded at the X-Mansion. So we get full Sunspot finally. He finally goes all the way into Sunspot. And as they're being chased, and he flies and is carrying Jubilee after Jubilee like makes a joke how she can't fly. They crash into the party, and like these killer robots are trying to kill me. And the Sentinels land, and they drop their arms like, negative, we're not trying to kill you. We're here to save you. And the mom tells him to stand down and surrender. And then they put the little collars on them, so they cap them too. Then we see a side of all the X-Mansion's on fire, and all the Prime Sentinels hanging out there, and Bastion shows up, and he's like, and whoever's little minion is, I don't know, I'm not quite sure who his little minion is that's with him. He's like, you won, you saved humanity. He's like, yeah. He's all happy, and then Sinister calls him, he's like, that stupid woman, she let him out. So he has to go to a teleport. Sinister's got Val on the ground there, cut, and she cracked in and released Magneto because she felt bad. Yeah, so Bastion gives her hi there, you let the dog out, and then he uses little powers to control these machines that pretty much post her up, and then Val gives a really big speech. She goes, when everything happened on Genosha, it's like it wasn't even fears. It's like they knew it. Like we all knew it. It's like it wasn't like shock or awe. People knew it, and everything. She does this whole little spin. She goes on, she's like, in everything, there's just one thought that was always coming back in everybody's. While she's giving a speech, we also see where Magneto uses where she freed Magneto and he busted all the TVs. Uses this bubble to shoot out into the sky, and as he's flying away, you see him look back at the island. So it looks like they're on Genosha. So Bastion's secret base is on Genosha, which I thought mutants were still on Genosha. So, and you see Magneto flying around the Earth, and while she's doing the speech, and then she always ends it with, "We all knew Magneto." Well, before we get to that part, she goes, "Well, if there's one thing that was like Magneto knew us better than that, Magneto knew us better than Charles Xavier. He knew everything all along, and we all knew Magneto was right." We see him land at the North Pole, and he just starts shooting off his powers, and his magnetism goes over the whole planet. Just causing kind of like an EMP device. He's like causing nuclear power plants to shut down, lights and power to shut down. The Prime Sentinels all lose power and fall. We get some more cameos. We see Spider-Man, Silver Samurai, and when the power plant goes down, we see Omega Red. So all the mutants are coming through, are all coming to waking up now. Maybe we get so cool. Maybe everybody's going to join up now. And then we come back to the Expansion. All the Sentinels are taken out, and you see them trying to Rogue on a bed and stuff. And Wolverine's like, I didn't think it. They knew would ever do it. And we're like, he saved the world, save us our hides. He goes, no, he started war. Man, I wish Xavier was here. And there's a sheer ship. Oh, sorry, Nightcrawler. There's Nightcrawler. There's where the Blackbird went down. There was that scene. Sorry, forgot to keep up with the pictures. And boom, out comes Charles Xavier. I hope I'm not too late, but I'm here, guys. I'm back. And he does his telekinetic things to me, my X-Men. And you see Beast and Jean and Cyclops and Storm. All surprisingly, Storm didn't show up in this episode at all. All receive the call. So he's calling in the troops. And that's where it ends. So now to get back to where I was saying, how I didn't expect this one to kind of have a happy ending. So I guess you could call this Act 1. I guess it makes sense. Act 1, I guess, sometimes doesn't always have to be doom and gloom. So Act 1 shows the Prime Sentinel. We get to reveal the plan. We get the Prime Sentinels come out, but the X-Men still come on top. They get their leader back. Magneto is free. If he's been turned... Did they make him a Prime Sentinel? I don't know. That could be... He could still turn out to be a Prime Sentinel. But the good guys pretty much still come together when they're coming together, but war started. Maybe we'll get all the mutants coming together. Maybe Omega Red and everybody's going to join together for a big war, big battle. But since this has a happy ending, it tells me that part 2 is gotta be has to have like the bad guys have to like be on top, because you gotta have like, so you had like the climax, but then you plateaued it with a win. So now the setup for the finale, you gotta escalate it up to a higher point. Like good examples are like the Star Wars trilogy and stuff like that. Start New Hope. They had the battle scene. Good guys kind of won, so because I was, because it was made because it possibly could be a standalone movie. They didn't know they were getting a sequel. Then obviously the sequel happens, and we get the bad guys on top at the end. Han's kidnapped, and Luke lost a hand, and the rebels are on the run. So you gotta like have that because at that point he knew he was making a third movie. So you have to have the I can't think of the word. The tensions have to be high. The good guys have to be in dire straits to set up for their, obviously, a third act for the heroic conclusion. So next week's episode's definitely going to have to end on a sour note, not maybe a sour or low point or cliffhanger-ish lead. Our heroes have to be in trouble. That's the typical movie arc, typical story arc. So yeah, I feel next week's episode is going to be a doozy. God, I wonder if we're going to lose someone, maybe. So next week is definitely. I feel like we have a hell of an episode in our future. So that's why I said I'd give this an 8, because next week's episode, I feel like it's going to be a 9 or a 10. The way I have confidence in this production team and the producer, director. I don't know what you want to call him, the Bo DeMaio. He feels like he understands storytelling. Personally, I wish they give him control of the X-Men movie. Sorry, Kevin Feige, I love you, brother, but you've lost your magic. I don't know how much I believe the X-Men movie rumors have come out, because it could just be hate type rumors, because it's popular hate on things where they want the new characters that have never been on the screen before, and everyone's obviously jumping because it's supposed to be female centered. Technically, most of the X-Men are female. Half of the X-Men team is female, and a lot of their stuff does focus on the female characters. But like I said, he's done a great job. A lot of these arcs have been around Jean, Madeline, Rogue. So there's been like the big character parts, but we got a Gambit moment. We got our Wolverine moment here. We had some Cyclops stuff at the big, so some good moments with Cyclops. So he's done a good job of, building the whole team. Which I'm hoping those rumors are fake or false. So, but I'd be totally comfortable with him doing an X-Men movie. So yeah, that's where we're about to leave off. Like I said, it's an 8 for sure. Strong first start. Still found a way to work in some of that comedy. There's some. That's what I really wanted. Someone who could balance drama with comedy. Comedy, X-Men. This has got mixes of some comical lines in to make you kind of chuckle, like "Stop bossing me, Mom," and stuff like that. That's just still like kind of give you a nice little chuckle. So definitely, Bon Appetit, great. This has been one of the best animated stuff I've ever watched. This is one of the top shows I've watched all year. Probably the best show I've watched all year. I loved Fallout, but I've put this over that. But okay, but we'll leave it off there, and then we'll see you for next week's part 2, and see if I'm right about it being a very tension-filled letdown at the end. If the bad guys should be on top at the end of the episode. Till next time, Cachorro out.